All the way from Los Angeles today in studio, we've got Jacqueline Albagoni, one of my oldest friends, but one of the biggest advocates towards the campaign from the start, guys. And she's used her platform to actually help countless people with mental health. She's spoken candidly about her own struggles in the past, how she's overcome with them, how she's dealt with them. So I have got some notes because we've got a lot to chat today. So first of all, welcome and thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
How's LA life?
LA life is interesting. It's different, you know. I went there with a vision, and you know, challenges arrive, and that's I'm just learning how to deal with them and sort of overcome them, and using whatever I have to sort of improve my life. But it's tough. It's tough over there. It's not easy.
And I mean, like, obviously towards the campaign, you was one of the biggest supporters from the beginning.
Yeah.
When I first brought it up with you, what was your initial thoughts? And I know you've spoken candidly about your personal struggles, but to put them out there, like, I know personally you put them out there to help other people.
Yeah.
But being in an industry where people are subjected to a lot of criticism or anything on media, what was your initial thoughts to come in on a campaign where you would have all eyes on you talking about mental health?
Fear is obviously the first thing. I mean, unfortunately, I find in society that it's so much easier to judge people, and instead of just looking, the problem with society is that people don't ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And they don't try to put themselves in the person's shoes to understand why they act the way they act and why they're in that situation. So yeah, you feel vulnerable and you know, all that, but at the end of the day, I'm not just doing this for myself. I mean, I think everybody, as I said to you, everybody knows someone who's gone through it, or are going through it themselves. Everybody's had some point in their life where they've suffered from depression or something happened that, you know, completely puts their life upside down. And then, you know, it's education, and it's just communication and trying to figure it out together. Yeah. You can't do it by yourself. Okay.
And I mean, going back to your personal struggles that you've spoken so openly about.
Yeah.
Can you share with us, our viewers, just a little bit about your story?
Yeah. So I have suffered from depression from probably since I was 12 years old. I still currently have it. So if I sat here and told you that I have beaten it and that I've gotten over it, it would be a complete lie. Yeah. I just told you, in fact, this morning I had a panic disorder. Last night I had a panic disorder episode. Yeah. What happened, actually, I'm going to be very open about this. What happened, my defense mechanism is to lash out. Right. And to actually get aggressive and to actually like get very defensive, which is, for some people it's normal, some people retract. So I'm lucky enough, though, with my mother today, for example, that we sat down and we talked about it, and of course it doesn't always go smoothly, you know, but having somebody there who's willing to listen and who's willing to be open and to try with you is more than you can ask for with somebody who has these issues. So the support itself, you can't force, like, one of the worst things that people can do with people who are depressed is say, oh, you just need to be happy. And it's like saying to somebody in a wheelchair, oh, I just wish you could walk. Yeah. You know? It's like...
pointless.
Thanks! Yeah. You know, but what that person needs is somebody to be next to them while they're going through that. Yeah. And having somebody trying to help them to understand themselves, and in a way trying to be a mirror for them. So say, hey, when you do this, I don't think you realize, but this is what's coming out, and this is what I'm getting from your side. So the communication, for me, it's the number one thing that most people don't know and don't understand and are not educated on, basically, which is why I'm such a huge supporter of this campaign, because at the end of the day, I know these problems can be solved, and I know we all have the ability to help other people through it. It's just we don't know how. Yeah. So we have to work together to help each other out, to understand it, and to support each other. And it's not easy. Yeah. It's not easy to have somebody like, I'm a very intense person. Somebody like my mother, to have somebody like, my mom's a very gentle person, we're so polar opposite. It's hard for her to have somebody like me. Yeah. It's really difficult, it's scary at times, you know. But she never gave up on me, and I actually asked her before I came, I said, what would be your advice to any parent out there who has a child who's suffering from depression or who's like me, you know? And she said, never give up. Yeah. Never give up, and just constantly try, and try something different. Because if you keep approaching the situation the same way, it's insanity. It's like, didn't Einstein say that or something? It's like, if you keep trying the same thing, and you expect a different outcome, it's the same thing. The point is you have to keep trying. Yeah. Obviously, the person who's depressed, if they can't get that strength themselves, you know, that's hard for them to try something different. So that's why other people's support is so important. You know. But
you said you've been through this for some time now. Was there a time when you there's Dr. Google, or did you go and see somebody to actually be diagnosed, or did you self-diagnose? I know I've spoken candidly about the body dysmorphia.
I did both.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so the first time I saw a psychologist, I was 12 years old, and we just talked about it 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I was actually misdiagnosed.
Right.
So I was given antidepressant at the age of 12, and the effects of that was not good for me. And then later in life, the depression really kicked in. I more had like anger issues when I was 12. And people took it as something else, and they didn't ask so much, you know what I mean? They just assumed. And it's like, you gotta ask the person what's, like, you have to really understand. So anyway, so I got misdiagnosed, and then I've seen honestly in my life, about 8 psychologists and counselors, and for different reasons. I mean, I had depression, I've built up a panic disorder, I've had an eating disorder, I've had self-harm, and I've had suicidal, but these are all stemming from one root. Something, and usually it always stems from childhood, you know, something, that trauma that happens to you as a child, whether it's neglect or, you know, whatever it is. So it's kind of like, I really believe that you have to somehow find the root cause in order to fix everything else.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, like with addiction, I've had addiction problems, you know, it's just this snowball effect. You know, you fix one thing, but then something else happens. It's like people with eating disorders, for example, let's put that one. I had an eating disorder, and then I cured that, but then all of a sudden I started building up an addiction to something, you know, whether it's smoking cigarettes or whatever my addiction was. So technically the thing has never left, it just transformed into something different. So I never really dealt with the cause, the root issue.
Yeah.
And psychologists and therapists are trained to help you with that, but of course not everybody's perfect, you know, so it's very important to keep trying to look for the right psychologist and the right...
And that's what I was going to come back to. So you said you'd had quite a few, like 8. Is that because you didn't connect with certain ones? And we talked about insanity, trying to do things different result.
Yeah.
Do you believe that if it doesn't work the first time with that psychologist, because you maybe not connect, that you keep finding somebody that you do?
Everybody's going to be different. Everybody has a different technique. Everybody, themselves have a different belief system, you know. So I've had great psychologists and I had really bad ones, you know, and so it's up to you to sort of go, am I getting better, and do I have a mutual respect with this person? Yeah. You have to respect them and they have to respect you. So if you're not feeling that, then I'd say try and look for somebody else, because you have to. And of course you also got to ask yourself, am I resisting this too? Yeah. Because a lot of the time, somebody who's really good for you, if you're in your ego, you're going to make them the enemy, you know?
And of course, what was the age that you started seeing psychiatrists, did you say?
12.
Early.
I said at 12.
So going through those teenage years as well, I suppose you already had a bit of adolescence, like temper, aggro, so you didn't want to know from anyone anyway?
I was extremely violent. I was terrifying actually as a teenager. I scared myself. Like, I was very unpredictable, I was very violent, I was very aggressive. Extreme depression, self-harm all the time. Like, I'd be in school and I'd be cutting myself under the table. I'd have like blood all over my top, and I attempted suicide a couple of times when I was a teenager. I had an eating disorder around that time, and I was in an extremely abusive relationship on top of that. That environment, you can imagine, is not helping me, you know. So yeah, a lot of it, and another thing that I read yesterday, because I constantly educate myself about it, I still to this day look for books and try to understand what's going on with me, and a lot of people kind of give up, and depression is hopelessness, and it's super lonely, and it's absolute hopelessness. You just don't know what to do, you know. But my motto is always try anything, just try anything. When I have depression, I've trained myself now to work to know how to roll myself out of it. I can't always do it, but like if I wake up in the morning and I'm so depressed, like, I don't know if people who have had depression will really get this. You can't get out of bed. What I've learned is just roll. Just roll, fall down, crawl, and eventually you'll get up. You know what I mean? But you have to find that strength that's not there somehow. And you have to have a vision, or you have to have something to fight for. And people who are depressed don't.
So what would you say on an outside scale sort of thing, and because I know that you've used your platform to help other people going forward, what is the most common misconception of the stigma towards people going through something that people think and associate?
I think people are really scared of people with depression because it brings up stuff with themselves, and also it brings up their inadequacy to cope with it. Right. So it makes people feel like makes them feel hopeless too, because they're like, I don't know what to do, you know. Yeah. But communication is the key, and it's about asking the person and finding the right languaging where that person doesn't feel attacked or belittled.
Yeah.
And it has to come really from a strong place of love, but also not too much love, because somebody who's depressed can't take that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a very fine line, and it's about asking, say, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Talk to me. Do you want me to, you know? And even if the person needs space, they just need a body in the room. You don't have to talk about it, but somebody who's depressed, just having a physical body there who's, I'm here to support you. I'm not here to change anything. I'm not here to force anything onto you. I'm just here to be with you. That's more enough than somebody needs. And then when they're ready, catch them in a moment when they're clear. Don't talk to them while they're in their depression, because they're not going to see it. They can't hear you. But it's about catch them in the moment when they're clear and say, hey, okay, so what happened yesterday? Let's talk about it. What could I have done in that moment? What did you need from me? What do you need from me? What can I do to help you? A lot of the times people will actually know, and depression is really ultimately about your needs not being met. There's core needs that these people can't get their needs met, and they're going to the wrong people to get them.
Yeah.
And that's the insanity thing again. You're constantly going to the wrong people to get something that you're just never going to get it. And then there's the constant disappointment and that cycle that just keeps going. And what's the point? You know, I've been trying and nothing works out, you know.
And they always say that you need a strong support network around you. While she was going through your issues at school, say, for example, did any of your friends ever suspect or see you doing these things and say something to you about it?
People ran away.
Right.
I mean, I was really lucky. I had some of the teachers in high school who really helped me. And to this day, I can honestly say that you know, because I had anorexia, I had one teacher I remember used to bring Centrum. She used to buy me vitamins, and she used to be a model. So she put two and two together. She looked at me and she saw this girl was not doing well. Yeah. So, you know, and then the other thing that they did is that one of the teachers said, you know, you obviously can't be in a social group when you're in this. I'm going to go up to the headmistress and I'm going to get them to give you permission to go to the arts room to paint whenever you're in these kind of things. So those small things for me made the world of difference. You know, knowing that people got it and understood that I was going through something really heavy, and they did the little that they could to sort of help me. And then still to this day, I mean, I'm 32 now, I can still look back and go, that saved me. So much of that saved me. So at the time, maybe, I don't know if I showed gratitude or I don't know if I showed it, but it certainly made a difference. So you got to remember also with depressed people, they might not always be able to express that. Yeah. But you got to know you're leaving an impact on them. And you're going to make a difference. It's the smallest thing you can do. I mean, the smallest act of kindness. Our normal reaction is to go into fear with these kind of things. And it's normal because it's scary. You don't understand it. You can't relate to it. You're like, just snap out of it. You know, it doesn't work like that. You really got to put yourself in the person's shoes to really understand them and help them to get out. But don't let them drag you down either, because there are people who can do that too, you know.
So what was the catalyst then in you going through your own things, getting through them? I know you still say there's days when you need to get through them and relapses, but what was the catalyst for you to go, with my personal experiences and with my platform, how can I now help other people?
Yeah. So I started the meditation channel. And so basically I meditate. I have tools that I use every day to get me out of these things. So one of the things I do is I meditate on a regular basis. I use affirmations, and I study as much as I can, basically. I try to educate myself to help myself. So I started the meditation channel, and what it was is basically I started to do affirmations for myself, try to talk to myself better. Because a lot of the depression is the inner dialogue that you have, that it's really bad and negative. Like you just don't talk to yourself very well. You're like, I'm a piece of F, and like whatever it is, piece of S or whatever, like you just put yourself down, you know. So you need to reprogram that thinking, and that's when your emotions are not serving you, you know what I mean? That's when what you're feeling isn't exactly the truth. And you have to learn to distinguish that. So I started the meditation channel because I started doing affirmations for myself and meditations for myself using my own voice. It's a very powerful tool that most people don't know. This is when you talk to yourself and you give yourself, and even on the outside, recorded. And then I thought, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I guess I could do it for other people, you know. And then I started putting it out on YouTube, and then before I know it, I was getting so many good responses from people and saying, thank you so much, this is something I really needed. And so everything that I put out there on my meditation channel, it's something that I've experience and that I've healed myself through, or that I used to heal myself. And it's a lot of research behind what I do too. It's not just spit words out, you know what I mean? It's just like there's years and years and years of study and learning and growing and trying to fix myself. So I wanted to share that with people, and I wanted to tell people, hey, you know, there is a lot that you can do on your own. There is a lot that you can do on your own, and these things do work.
And I will just say, sorry to interrupt, where can people find this YouTube channel?
Well, I have, my Instagram is at meditation_channel, and then there's a link that they'll take you directly to my my Jacqueline at Jacqueline444, which is my other Instagram. And the reason I will bring it up and redirect you is because me and Jacqueline have known each other for years. How long now? I think it's 15 years.
15 years.
We met
making me feel old. One day, Edge Fitness First.
Fitness First, man.
I used to teach group fitness. Jacqueline used to come. Anyway, now I've lost my train of thought.
That's probably we're obsessed about our bodies.
And that's probably why we both had body issues. But yeah, I've gone through things, BDD and anxiety, and I suppose dealing with this campaign, doing a lot of it on myself, with huge advocates getting their faces behind it, but trying to put so much on myself and thinking, oh, what's people going to think, and doing this and this. Jacqueline actually took me towards her page, and it helps, guys. Like, the most powerful words are I am, and whatever follows the words I am is ultimately what you're saying about yourself. So these affirmations that you obviously speak of, I started practicing them. Right. And to this day, I still believe that this campaign has gone so big and so quick because of what you told me.
Oh.
Like, the affirmations and... Well, this is what I say. Like, if I hadn't have put affirmations out there and done goal setting and got a vision board, guys, like, for example, some of the biggest names on the campaign, hundreds of thousands of followers. What is to say the universe didn't set that into motion